Hello dear students, this is your chapter number 8, Cell, Structure and Functions. We all are living things and we are made up of cell. Cell is the basic unit of our life. In this chapter we will study the structure of the cell and what are its functions. You have already learned that things around us are either living or non-living. There are so many living things like animals, microbes, and human beings, plants also. Non-living things are there, a number of non-living things surrounding you people. Okay, look at your surroundings. You will find bed, table, chair, fan, buildings, and so many things. Further, you may recall that all living organisms carry out certain basic functions. All living organisms carry certain basic functions means you breathe, okay, you respond to stimuli, you can walk, you can talk. All these are the basic functions of your living personalities like human beings, animals. Plants make their food by the process of photosynthesis. So respiration, excretion, all these are the examples of basic functions of all living organisms. Can you list these functions? I told you the basic functions. Different sets of organs perform the various functions you have listed. For example, we are saying that various functions like respiration, breathing, they involve different sets of organs. For breathing, we need nose, trachea, lungs, and for digestive system, we need mouth, food pipe, stomach, and so many other organs. So in this chapter, you shall learn about the basic structural unit of an organ, which is the cell. Now underline this. What is the basic structural unit of line? Basic structural unit of an organ or life, it is known as cell. What is cell? Write down question here. Define cell. The cell is the basic structural unit of an organ. How it looks like? Cells may be compared to bricks. Bricks are assembled to make a building. In a building, the role of bricks can be compared to the role of cells in living organisms. Cells are assembled to make the body of every organism. So we people, we are made up of cells. Okay. Discovery of the cell. In 8.1, we will study who discovered the cell. Robert Hooke in 1665 observed slices of cork under a simple magnified device. So write down here question. Who discovered cell? Your answer is Robert Hooke. In 1665 he discovered cell. How he discovered the cell? He observed slices of cork under a simple magnifying device because microscopes were not developed at that time. Cork is a part of bark of a tree. What is a cork? Cork is a part of bark of a tree. He took thin slices of cork and observed them under a microscope. He noticed partitioned boxes or compartments in the cork slice like this. You know, these cork cells, they resemble the honeycomb. The compartments of honeycomb are like the boxes, the compartments which were seen in the cork slice. Now next is, these boxes appeared like a honey comb, as you see the picture. He also noticed that one box was separated from the other by a wall or partition. Who coined the term cell? Who coined the term cell? Robert Hooke coined the term cell for each box. What Hooke observed as boxes or cells in the cork were actually dead cells. So the cells which are discovered by Robert Hooke, they were actually dead cells. They were actually dead cells. One extra question for you people, that living cells are discovered by Hooke. Who discovered the living cells? Hooke discovered the living cells. Robert Hooke discovered the dead cells. Now, cells of living organisms could be observed only after the discovery of improved microscopes. Later on, improved microscopes, they were discovered. Very little was known about the cell for the next 150 years after Robert Hooke's observations. Today we know a lot about cell structure and its functions because of improved microscopes having high magnification. High magnification means we can see the microscopic organelles in more better form, okay, in magnified form. 8.2, the cell. Both bricks in a building and cells in the living organisms are basic structural units. The buildings, though built of similar bricks, have different designs, shapes and sizes. Similarly, in the living world, organisms differ from one another, but all are made up of cells. All organisms are made up of cells. Cells in the living organisms are complex living structures, unlike non-living bricks. Now, bricks are simple in structure, but cells are complex living structures. Okay. Now, look here what Paheli is thinking about. A hen's egg can be seen easily. Is it a cell or a group of cells? So the hen's egg is an egg. It is not a group of cells. The hen's egg is a cell. Okay. Now next is this is a brick wall and this is an onion peel. Okay. You have seen the brick wall definitely, and you have not been seen the onion peel under the microscope, but when you see the onion peel under a microscope, you can see such type of structure. Okay, these are the cells present in onion peel. Okay, now look here. The egg of a hen represents a single cell and is big enough to be seen by the unaided eye. So here is the answer of Paheli's question, that the egg of a hen, it represents a single cell. It is a single cell. The egg of a hen is a single cell and is big enough to be seen by the unaided eye. What do you mean by unaided eye? Without any external help. Okay, it means that microscope is not used for seeing a single cell of hen, that is the egg. Now 8.3, organisms show variety in cell number, shape and size. Now different organisms, they have different types of cells, and these different types of cells are known as variety. Now variety is in what sense? In cell number, in the shape of the cell, and the size of the cell varies. Okay. How do scientists observe and study the living cells? They use microscope which magnify objects. For magnifying the objects, they use microscopes. Stains, dyes are used to color parts of the cell to study the detailed structure. Why we use stains and dyes? So that we can identify the structure of the cell. Okay, staining helps to study the detailed structure of the cell. There are millions of living organisms. They are of different shapes and sizes. Their organs are also vary in shape, size and number of cells. Let us study about some of them. Now, number of cells, look here, how they differ in number of cells. Can you guess the number of cells in a tall tree or in a huge animal like the elephant? The number runs into billions and trillions. They have billions and trillions number of cells. Human body has trillions of cells which vary in shapes and sizes. So how many cells are present in human body? About trillions of cells, and they vary in shapes and sizes. Different groups of cells perform a variety of functions. A billion is 1,000,000,000. So here is the measurement of a billion. A billion is 1,000,000,000. Means 1,000 millions make a billion. A trillion is 1,000,000,000,000. So 1,000,000,000,000 cells are present in human body. Clear? Next is organisms made more than one cell. Organisms made of more than one cell are called multicellular. Multicellular means it comprises of two words, multi and cellular. Multi means many, cellular means cell. So an organism having many cells is known as multicellular organisms. Write down, define multicellular organisms. Now, the number of cells being less in smaller organism does not in any way affect the functioning of the organisms. You will surprised to know that an organism with billions of cells begins life as a single cell. Okay. Now, what is the initial stage of a human being? That is zygote. That is zygote. Now, zygote is a single-celled part of the body. Okay. Zygote is a single cell which is the fertilized egg. Which is the fertilized egg. The fertilized egg cell multiplies and the number of cells increase as development proceeds. Okay. Zygote forms embryo having many cells. Then later on, stage by stage, step by step, the organism development proceeds. Okay. Now look at figure 8.3. This is your 8.3 figure. Both organisms are made up of a single cell. The single celled organisms are called unicellular. So this is an amoeba and this is the diagram of paramecium. Draw these diagrams in your notebook and you can see the labeling from my video. You can search in my channel and there you will find well labeled diagrams of these organisms, amoeba and paramecium. Now next is your organisms. A single celled organism performs all the necessary functions. Okay, I am talking about unicellular organism. For example, amoeba. Single celled organism is known as unicellular organism. Okay, listen carefully. Single celled organism is known as unicellular organism. For example, amoeba. It performs all the necessary functions that multicellular organism perform. Clear? For example, the breathing process, the excretion process, the digestion process, all these processes which are necessary for life, they are performed by the single cell in an unicellular organism. For example, amoeba and paramecium. A single-celled organisms like amoeba captures and digests food, respires, excretes, grows and reproduces. Similar functions in multicellular organisms are carried out by group of specialized cells forming different tissues. So what are tissues? Group of specialized cells. They are known as tissues. What are tissues? Group of specialized cells performing different functions. Okay. Tissues in turn form organs, and organ forms organ system, then organism. Okay. Now look here. Cell, group of cells, they form tissue. Group of tissues, they form organs, and group of organs formed organ system like respiratory system, digestive system, and group of organ systems, they form a full-fledged organism. Very important. Okay. Next activity 8.1. The teacher may show a permanent slide of amoeba and paramecium under a microscope. Alternately, the teacher can collect pond water and show these organisms by preparing the slides. Now, shape of cells. Refer to figure 8.3a. How do you define the shape of amoeba in the figure? You may say that the shape appears irregular. The shape appears irregular. In fact, amoeba has no definite shape. Very important. We are studying here, we are discussing here the shape of cells. Amoeba has no definite shape. Unlike other organisms, we human beings have a definite shape. Cow has a definite shape. Plants, they have a definite shape. But amoeba, they has no definite shape. It keeps on changing its shape. Observe the projections of varying lengths protruding out of its body. These are called pseudopodia. Now, what is pseudopodia? These are the varying projections of varying lengths protruding out of its body. Amoeba has finger-like projections. They are known as pseudopodias. Pseudopodia made up of two words. Pseudo means false and podia means feet. So organisms having false feet, they are known as having pseudopodia. Okay, as you learned in class 7th. These projections appear and disappear as amoeba moves or feeds. So they don't have any definite shape. Now Paheli is asking here question, what advantage does amoeba derive by changing shape? It can move. It can move and it capture its food. Capturing food. So the change in shape is due to the formation of pseudopodia, which facilitates movement and help in capturing food. A white blood cell, WBC, in human blood is another example of a single cell. Now the white blood cells, they are present in our blood. These are examples of a single cell which can change its shape. To name the cell present in human body which can change its shape, that is WBC. But while WBC is a cell, amoeba is a full-fledged organism capable of independent existence. Okay. WBC, they don't have independent existence like amoeba. Okay. What shape would you expect in organisms with millions of cells? Figure 8.4 ABC. This is the figure 8.4. Now here you can see the spherical red blood cells of humans in A part, spindle shaped muscle cells in B part, and long branched nerve cell, which is also known as neuron. Okay, so these are the cells found in human beings. Okay, at present we all are consisting them. What shape would you expect in organisms with millions of cells? Figure 8.4 ABC shows different cells such as blood, muscle and nerve of human beings. The different shapes are related to their specific functions. So this is very important. You can make fill-ups over here. The different shapes are related to their specific functions. Generally, cells are round, spherical and elongated. So what are the shapes you can see regarding cells? They are round, spherical or elongated. Some cells are long and pointed at both ends. They exhibit a spindle shape like muscle cells. Then cells sometimes are quite long. Some are branched like nerve cell. The nerve cell receives and transfers messages. Very important. What is the function of nerve cell? Nerve cell receives and transfers messages. Here write down what is the function of a nerve cell. Nerve cell is also known as neuron. So its function is to receive and transfer the messages in our body. Next is helping to control and coordinate the working of different parts of the body. It helps to control and coordinate, and ultimately it helps in the working of different parts of the body. So these are the functions of nerve cells. Next, can you guess which part of the cell gives its shape? Components of the cell are enclosed in a membrane. This membrane provides shape to the cells of plants and animals. Now, cell wall is an additional cover the cell membrane in plant cells. So, cell wall is present in plant cells, but it is absent in animal cells. In animal cells, only cell membrane is present. Okay, it gives shape and rigidity to these cells. Bacterial cells also has a cell wall. Next is size of cells. The size of cells in living organisms may be as small as a millionth of a meter. Now we are discussing the size of cells. They can be small as millions of a meter. For example, we measure the cells in micrometer or micron unit, or maybe as large as a few centimeters. For example, nerve cells are the longest cells of human body. Write down. Name the longest cells of human body. They are nerve cells. They are nerve cells. Now, most of the cells are microscopic in size and are not visible to the unaided eye. They need to be enlarged or magnified by a microscope. The smallest cell is 0.1 to 0.5 micrometer in bacteria. Write down the measurement of smallest cell. You can write this in the form of true, false or fill-ups. The smallest cell is of 0.1 to 0.5 micrometer. The largest cell, measuring 170 mm into 130 mm, is the egg of an ostrich. What is the size of the largest cell? It is of 170 micrometer into 130 micrometer. This is the egg of an ostrich. Okay, smallest cell is of bacteria and largest cell is the egg of an ostrich. Clear? Next is activity 8.2. Boil an hen's egg, remove the shell. What do you observe? A white material surrounds the yellow part, that is known as albumin. White material is albumin, which solidifies on boiling. It is in liquid form when you are making the omelette. The yellow part is yolk. It is part of the single cell. You can observe this single cell without any magnifying device. Clear? You can see this single cell without any microscope. Are the cells in an elephant larger than the cells in a rat? The size of the cells has no relation with the size of the body of the animal or plant. Very important. You can write this in the form of true false. Okay? The size of the cells has no relation with the size of the body of the animal or plant. Okay? It doesn't mean that elephant having large cells and rat having small cells. No. It is not necessary that the cells in the elephant be much bigger than those in rat. The size of cell is related to its function. For example, nerve cells, both in the elephant and rat, are long and branched. They perform the same function, that of transferring messages. The nerve cells which are present in elephant as well as in rat, they are long and branched. They perform the same function, receiving and transferring the messages, that of transferring messages. Okay. 8.4 Cell structure and function. You have learned that each living organism has many organs. You have studied in class 7th about the digestive organs, which together constitute the digestive system. Each organ in the system performs different functions such as digestion, assimilation and absorption. Assimilation means to absorbing the nutrients from the digested food into the blood. Okay. Then similarly, different organs of a plant perform specific specialized function. For example, what is the function of roots? Roots help in the absorption of water and minerals. Now, you can see the function of leaves. You have learned this in class 7th also. Leaves are responsible for the synthesis of food by the process of photosynthesis. Now, each organ is further made up of smaller parts called tissues. A tissue is a group of similar cells performing a specific function. What is a tissue? Define tissue. It is a group of similar cells, same type of cells. Listen carefully. A group of not different cells, it is a group of similar cells performing a specific function. Paheli realized that an organ is made up of tissues which in turn are made up of cells. The cell is in a living organism is the basic structural unit. That is why cell is the basic structural unit. All the structures, they arises from a single cell. That is why we call this term cell the basic structural unit of life of an organism. 8.5 Parts of the cell. Now, there are different parts of the cell. Number 1, cell membrane. The basic components of cell are cell membrane, then cytoplasm and nucleus. Cytoplasm and nucleus are enclosed within the cell membrane. For example, this is a cell. Suppose nucleus is present over here. Jelly-like substance cytoplasm is here. Nucleus, cytoplasm and other organelles, they are covered with a cell membrane. They are enclosed within the cell membrane and also the plasma membrane. Okay, cell membrane is also called the plasma membrane. Both are same. The membrane separates cells from one another and also the cell from the surrounding medium. The plasma membrane is the porous and allows the now what is the function of membrane? Write down. What is cell membrane and what is its function. So cell membrane is the covering of cell organelles, cytoplasm and nucleus. It is also known as plasma membrane. Its function is to separate cells from one another and also the cell from the surrounding medium. Now the plasma membrane, what is the structure of plasma membrane? You can write this in the form of fill-up. The plasma membrane is porous and allows the movement of substances or materials, both inward and outward. This is the structure of plasma membrane. It is porous, and due to having this type of structure, it helps in the movement of substances or materials both inward and outward direction. Now activity 8.3. In order to observe the basic components of the cell, take an onion bulb. Remove the dry pink coverings peels. You can easily separate these from the fleshy white layers of the bulb. With the help of forceps or even with your hand, you can also break the onion bulb and separate out thin layers. Place a small piece of thin onion peel in a drop of water on a glass slide. The thin layer can be cut into smaller pieces with the help of a blade or forceps. Add a drop of methylene blue. Now this is stain or dye. Okay, it helps in the study of cell organelles. You can add a drop of methylene blue solution to the layer and place a cover slip on it. While placing the cover slip, ensure that there are no air bubbles under the cover slip. Observe the slide under the microscope. Draw a label. You may compare it with figure 8.5. Now look here, figure 8.5. You can see the cells observed in an onion peel like this. Okay, methylene blue is a stain, you can say it is a type of dye which helps to color some parts like nucleus or cytoplasm. In order to identify them, in order to study them well, it helps. The boundary of the onion cell is the cell membrane. This is known as cell membrane. The boundary of the onion is known as cell membrane, covered by another thick covering called the cell wall. Okay, it also has cell wall because it is a plant cell. The central dense round body in the center is called the nucleus, and the jelly-like substance is known as cytoplasm. What is cytoplasm? It is a jelly-like substance which is present between the nucleus and the cell membrane. So what is a cytoplasm? How can you define this? A jelly-like substance between the nucleus and the cell membrane is called cytoplasm. Your question is, define cytoplasm. Now Bujo asking one more question. I want to know why plant cells need cell walls. Very good question. You have learned earlier that the cell membrane gives shape to the cell. In addition to the cell membrane, there is an outer thicker layer in the cells of plants called cell wall. What is cell wall? Outer thicker layer in cells of plants. This additional layer surrounding the cell membrane is required by plants for protection. So what is the function of cell wall? What is the answer of the Bujo's question? That why plant cells need a cell wall? Answer is, it is required by the plants for protection only. For protection. Plant cells need protection against number 1, they need protection against temperature. Number 2, high wind speed. Number 3, atmospheric moisture. They are exposed to these variations because they cannot move. Plants cannot move, so they need such type of protection. Cells can be observed in the leaf peel of Tradescentia, Elodia or Rio. You can prepare a slide as in the case of onion. Now you can see the cells in the leaves of these plants also. Paheli asked Bujo if he can also observe animal cell. Activity 8.4. Now let's talk about animal cell. Onion peel is a plant cell. Now we are discussing in activity 8.4 the animal cell. Take a clean toothpick or a matchstick with the tip broken. Scrape inside of your cheek without hurting it. Gently place it in a drop of water or a glass slide. Add a drop of iodine and place a cover slip over it. Okay, iodine act as a stain or a dye. Alternately, we add 1-2 drops of methylene blue solution again for staining. Observe it under the microscope. You may notice several cells in the scrapped material. When you see the slide, you can see the cells. Okay, you can identify the cell membrane easily, the cytoplasm and the nucleus. These three things are visible to you under the microscope. A cell wall is absent in animal cells. So when you see the cheek cells, you come to know that cell wall is absent in animal cells. We are going to do this activity in our class also. Next is nuclear membrane. You can see cytoplasm, nucleus, cell membrane in a human cheek cell slide. Okay. Next is cytoplasm. What is cytoplasm? It is the jelly-like substance present between the cell membrane and the nucleus. Many organelles, they are enclosed. They are floating in the cytoplasm. They are present in the cytoplasm. These are mitochondria, Golgi bodies, ribosomes, and many more like endoplasmic reticulum, lysosomes. You will learn about them in later classes, especially in class 9th. You will study all these organelles in detail. Now, nucleus. Nucleus is an important component of the living cell. Why? It is known as the control center or the brain of the cell. It is generally spherical and located in the center of the cell. It can be stained and seen easily with the help of a microscope. Nucleus is separated from the cytoplasm by a membrane known as nuclear membrane. So nucleus having a membrane which is known as nuclear membrane. This membrane is also porous and allows the movement of materials between the cytoplasm and the inside of the nucleus. Very important. With the microscope of higher magnification, for example electron microscope, we can see a smaller spherical body in the nucleus. It is called nucleolus. It is known as nucleolus. In addition, nucleus contains thread-like structures called chromosomes. These are carrying genes and help in inheritance or transfer of characters. So gene is the basic unit of inheritance. Inheritance means the characters which we are getting from our parents or from our ancestors. Characters which can be transferred through one generation to next. The chromosomes can be seen only when the cell divides. Okay. When you are able to see the chromosomes, very important, you can do this in fill-up. Chromosomes can be seen only when the cell divides. Clear? Next is gene. Again, very important topic, gene. It is new for 8th class student, but in later classes in 9th, 10th, you will have a detailed study on these terms. Okay. Now, what is a gene? Write down. What is a gene? Define gene. What do you mean by a gene? A gene is a unit of inheritance. The characters we are getting from our parents in living organisms. Okay, it is a unit of inheritance. What is its function? It controls the transfer of hereditary characteristics from parents to offsprings. This means our parents, they are passing some of the characters in us. For example, color of eyes, then curly hairs. However, the different combination of genes from parents result in different characteristics. For example, tallness, height, okay, color of the skin, your hair texture. All these characters you are getting from your parents, and these are known as hereditary characteristics. Okay, the characteristics which we are gaining from our ancestors or parents, they are known as hereditary characteristics. Now, nucleus, in addition to its role in inheritance, act as control center of the activities of the cell. As I told you, it is also known as brain. The entire content of a living cell is known as protoplasm. Okay, the entire content of a living cell is known as protoplasm. It includes the cytoplasm and the nucleus. Protoplasm is called the living substance of the cell. So, define protoplasm. It contains cytoplasm and nucleus, and it is called the living substance of the cell. Now, Paheli wants to know if the structure of the nucleus is the same in the cells of plants and animals and bacteria. She is asking one more question, that is it true that nucleus is having same in cells of plants, animals and bacteria? There is any difference in the structure of nucleus in these or not? This is the question of, this is the query of Paheli. She is very curious to know this. Let's see. The nucleus of the bacterial cell is not well organized like the cells of multicellular organisms. This is one difference. There is no nuclear membrane. There is no nuclear membrane in a bacterial cell. The cells having nuclear material without nuclear membrane, they are known as prokaryotic cells. Very important. The organisms with these kinds of cells are called prokaryotes, having no membranes, membrane bonded structures. They are known as primitive organisms. Examples, bacteria and blue-green alga. Now, you are having a NCERT question on this. Okay, so listen carefully. The cells like onion cells and cheek cells having well-organized nucleus with a nuclear membrane, they are designated as eukaryotic cells. Eukaryotic cells having well-organized nucleus, having nuclear membrane. All organisms other than bacteria and blue-green alga are known as eukaryotes. For example, we human beings. Eukaryotes means it is made up of two words. Eu means true and karyon means nucleus, having true nucleus with nuclear membrane. Now next is, while observing the onion cells under the microscope, did you notice any blank looking structures in the cytoplasm? It is called vacuole. You can see vacuoles, the blank structures. Okay, blank structures in the slide of onion cell under the microscope. It could be single and big as in an onion cell. Cheek cells having smaller vacuoles. Now this is the difference between plant cell and animal cells. Plant cells, they have big large vacuoles, and animal cells, they have smaller vacuoles, as you see in cheek cells. Large vacuoles are common in plant cells and vacuoles in animal cells are much smaller. This is very important. You can write this in difference between plant and animal cell. Okay, one point is clear to you, that vacuoles are very common in plant cells having large size, and vacuoles in animal cells, they are much smaller as compared to plant cells. Now you might have noticed several small colored bodies in the cytoplasm of the cells of Trasdacea leaf. They are scattered in the cytoplasm of the leaf cells. These are called plastids. You can see these structures in the slide of leaf. They are of different colors. Some of them contain green pigment. They are known as The green pigment is known as chlorophyll. It is needed for the process of photosynthesis. Its function is to absorb light during the process. Now green colored plastids are called chloroplast. Green colored plastids are called chloroplast. They provide green color to the leaves. You may recall that chlorophyll in the chloroplast of leaves is essential for photosynthesis. Now chloroplast is the site of photosynthesis. Where does photosynthesis takes place in plants? Obviously plants. In chloroplast. Chloroplasts are the site of photosynthesis. They provide green color to the leaves. You may recall that chlorophyll in the chloroplast of leaves is essential for photosynthesis. You can write this in the form of fill-up. Now comparison of plant and animal cells. If you recall activities 8.3 and 8.4, you should be able to compare plant and animal cell. Observe the plant and animal cell carefully in figure 8.7ab. Let us tabulate the similarities and distinguishes features of plants and animals. Only a few features are mentioned. You may add more in table 8.1. Now this is the diagram. They having common features like cell membrane, vacuole, nucleus and cytoplasm. And what are the differences? Cell wall is present in the plant cell and chloroplast is present in the plant cell. These cell wall and chloroplast, they are absent in animal cells. Clear? Now comparison of plant cell and animal cells. Cell membrane is present in plant cell and also present in animal cell. Cell wall is present in plant cell and animal cell it is absent. Now what about nucleus? Nucleus is present in plant cells and as well as in animal cells. Nuclear membrane is present in plants as well as animals. Cytoplasm is present in plant as well as in animal cell. Plastids are present in plant cells but they are absent in animal cells. Vacuoles are present in plant cells as well as in animal cells. This is your chapter regarding cell. I hope you enjoyed a lot. Thank you. Have a nice day.